I am Scott Schober. I'm the president and CEO of Berkeley Varitronics Systems. We're a 54-year-old company. I often get the question, how old was I when the company was founded? I think it was about 2 years old. So obviously I didn't find the company. It was founded by my father. I'm the second generation of the company. And probably about 30 years ago, I became president. And it was kind of an exciting journey because we're a unique company in that we take ideas that people oftentimes bring to us in problems, and then we do research and we come up with a niche solution to solve that problem. And that's what we're kind of showcasing at the far end of this exhibit hall, some of the products that we've developed over time. Much of it is tied toward security, which is certainly fitting for this type of event. So the combination where wireless and cybersecurity cross, that's often that intersection is where we develop products, and that's where we tend to shine. And some of the different things that we're showcasing here are ferrous detection systems that will detect if there's a mobile phone on a person or if they're carrying weapons and they walk through a portal, which is a little bit different than a traditional metal detector that we're familiar with if we're going onto an airplane. So with a ferrous detector, it only looks at the ferrous properties specifically of a mobile phone, such as the speaker, the vibrator, the microphone inside of a phone. And that's what we can pick up on, those super small magnets inside. And that's important if you're in a school and you want to prevent mobile phones from coming in. But maybe even more important if you have a secure government facility or an area you don't want any type of mobile phones coming in because it could be a threat. So we oftentimes will sell to large data centers where they don't want phones coming in, where somebody be compromised, intellectual property, classified information, or take pictures, record data, all those different things that you could now do with your cell phone. That's one example. Another example of some of the products that we developed, and I don't know if it's as much of a problem here in Europe, but certainly the US is probably the #1 spot, is with skimmers, where when you stick your credit card into an ATM, point of sale terminal, you're buying gas, whatever else, a second magnetic read head will steal the credit card information. So we built a line of skimmer detectors to instantly alert you if it's safe to put your card into a machine or not. The next generation of product that we're working on is called a shimmer detector. All of us here have chip and pin on our card probably. Well, what the cyber criminals have done is they have now put a shimmer inside of a point of sale terminal. So when you stick your card in, the EMV credit card reader, it will basically shim and steal the credit card information. They'll take that information, decrypt it, parse it, and then burn it onto a fresh credit card. So even though you may not be victim of a skimmer, magnetic credit card, the script on the back, more than likely all of us here have a chip and pin on our card. And when we stick it into the point of sale terminal, we can be a victim and have our card compromised. So that's the growing threat that we're starting to see in the world of shimming, which is certainly very, very scary. A lot of the other tools and things that we're developing also tie into cybersecurity. And I'm going to share just a very brief story. Why cyber? Probably about 2010 or so, I was speaking to a lot of different audiences about security, sharing best practices, how to make a strong password, the importance of multi-factor authentication, the list goes on and on. But I didn't realize is I got a target on my back. Once I started educating people how to stay safe in the world of cyber that was emerging, they started going after me. My credit card was compromised. My debit card was compromised. My Twitter account was hacked. Our website where we do online commerce, suddenly I found our store's not working. What's happening? We had repeated DDoS attacks targeting us. Then I had $65,000 stolen out of our checking account. Started doing research, working with an Israeli company that was really good in cyber, and we found out there were several notorious cyber criminals on the dark web having contests to target me and see how much information they could get. Later on, I had somebody steal my identity and then try to pose as myself, go to the bank and take the money out of our account. We had somebody else that listed property we own on a MLS, multiple listing site, and then they posed as myself owning the property, and then they actually put it out there went to the higher bidder and somebody offered $1 million cash to buy the property. And then fortunately, the realtor mistakenly contacted me during this process, not even realizing it, and we got police involved and stopped the whole thing from happening. So again and again, we're dealing with cyber crimes and fraud and developing tools and technologies to combat the problem, all while trying to stay safe and run a business. One of the later products we developed, and I brought it with me here as demonstrating to a few colleagues earlier, is a bad USB cable detector. Now, all of us have USB cables to charge our laptops, charge our phones, and it's really hard to know if a USB cable is good or bad. And what do we mean by bad? Well, a bad USB cable actually has an implant, a hardware implant, inside of the end of the cable. But if you hold it up and look at the cable visually, you cannot tell the difference between a good cable or a bad cable. If I challenged anyone in this audience and threw you a good cable versus a bad cable, you would say they look the same. And in fact, they function the same. They still pass data through, they still charge your device, and you will never know it. However, that hardware implant in there will allow it to have Wi-Fi capability. It'll actually act as a hotspot and connect into your computer if you plug it in. Why is that so dangerous? Well, if somebody wanted to, they could easily dispense malicious code, malware, to your computer. They could take over your computer. Then they work laterally and start to steal all your files and make your life a nightmare. So something as simple as a $10 cable that you and I use every single day could be used as a threat to get into your computer or get into your organization. And unfortunately, these bad cables, initially you would buy these cables, they were probably about $200 each. Now I can go on Alibaba. For around $10, I can buy a bad USB cable, and I can put in there's 100 different types of malware, different strains of malware I could load on that and cause all kinds of havoc to anybody that is the victim of innocently picking it up and simply plugging it into their computer or phone or whatever else. Especially, I think, is funny that if you look at an Apple cable, I don't know about you, but they're expensive. You go to the Apple store, you may spend $30, $40 for a simple USB charge cable. So if you find that on the ground, or it's on the office or a college campus, what's somebody going to do? You're going to pick it up and grab it and start using it. It's natural. So it's a very easy way. Like we hear about the old scheme where you take a USB drive and you put on their employee salary and go to the company, throw it over the fence, and what happens? An employee sees it and goes, oh, I wonder what my boss is making. They pick up the USB stick, they plug it into their computer, malware is dispensed. That same kind of thing is being done with bad USB cables, and we're starting to see them all over the place, and that's what's a real scary threat. So we're talking about that a little bit as well. We also brought with us kind of a unique device we developed I'm excited about. It's called Yellow Jacket Ultra, and it's a Wi-Fi sniffing or scanning tool. And the nice part about it is we can look at all the different, if we could scan and look for all the different Wi-Fi networks, the channel number, the frequency, all those type of things. And there's a lot of software that does that. But what we could have done is we've coupled it with a direction finding antenna. So what it does is it gives you about 9 dBi a gain, and it's about 65-degree beam width. So now when you steer this, you can hunt down a rogue access point, an evil twin attack. You can go after certain types of cyber attacks that are very common. And you hear about this often. You go to Starbucks, don't connect into the free Wi-Fi hotspot, right? We hear about that. Well, how do you detect those type of things, if they're legitimate or if they're fake? Especially in a secure facility, you use a tool like that we developed, the Yellow Jacket Ultra. And we stand for 2.4 gigahertz networks, 5 gigahertz networks, as well as the new 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi 6, which most of our Wi-Fi home routers, if you go out and buy new, that's probably what you're getting there. And it's backwards compatible, Wi-Fi 6, and it jumps back to the 5 gigahertz to 2.4 gigahertz. So we have a specialized tool that does that. We're adding drone detection to it as well soon, and we're working on some algorithms there so you can hunt down drones that are using Wi-Fi, usually consumer level, that are oftentimes used for threats, and that's very important. So glad again to be able to come here, and certainly you're partnering here. And we have a couple of devices back there. If anybody wants to come by, swing by. We're happy to show them to you, answer any questions that you have, especially in the world of cyber, because that's the world that I live in and deal with each and every day. I've written 3 books on the subject, and I'm working on book number 4, which is called Stolen Plastic. And certainly if you guys want to stop by, I'll be happy to show you any of those things or answer any other questions that you might have in the world of wireless or even cybersecurity. But thank you again for having me. Appreciate the opportunity. Thanks.